Hey y'all, so today we are continuing the next section of the second book of the Wheel of Time series, which is The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. We're doing chapters 19 through 22 today, so let's get started. Chapter 19 is Beneath the Dagger, and Rand, Loyal, Huron, and Selene are back in their own world, and at this point they are ahead of the Trollocs that have the horn in space. So they were able to kind of, instead of being behind and tracking them, they are now ahead of them, and they're hoping to intercept them and get the horn. So during this time while they're waiting, Selene is caught by Rand going through his saddlebags, and she gives him some stupid excuse, and bless his poor innocent heart, he believes her. And I can't decide if she's just using her looks to manipulate Rand or if it's legitimately some kind of magic that she's using to manipulate him. I don't really know what it is, but I just feel so bad for him because she's obviously lying, or at least to me I feel like she's lying, and he just believes everything that she says and just kind of goes along with it. So I'm a little concerned for him at this point, but we'll see. During a conversation with Selene where she kind of refers to Loyal, and I can't remember the words that she used, but we learned that she's probably a noble just from the way she talks about Loyal and what she calls him, but I can't remember that word, but I think that Selene is probably a noble from somewhere, maybe Carahine, but I'm not sure. So the Trollocs are nearby, and Rand and Loyal are going to sneak into the camp to steal the horn back. And tension is so high reading this, like I just felt myself tensing up. Robert Jordan does a really good job of building that atmosphere, and I know I've mentioned this before that he can just turn things on a dime. And that's why I'm kind of worried, because this is very important. He's trying to get the horn back, and knowing Robert Jordan, he could just flip it on me at any moment. But they do get the horn, and I think Rand has to kill a few Trollocs. He uses the void. He doesn't pull on Sidene. Sidene. He doesn't pull on Sidene to kill them, but he does use the void to help him kill him. And it was nerve-wracking. It definitely was. I was so nervous for Rand, but they made out safe. They have the horn. And of course, Selene wants him to take the horn to Carahine. And I don't want Rand to trust her. I don't. But that's where they decide they're going to go. It makes some logical sense, but I really wish he hadn't have waited on, or hadn't followed her and decided to go to Carahine with the horn. I don't trust her. She's too familiar with him. She only seems to have kindness and flirt with him when he's agreeing with her. If he disagrees with her in some way, she flips it on him, and she is immediately angry with him. She's mad at him, kind of belittles him, almost shames him into following what she wants. And I wish Rand was just a little more sure of himself and kind of knew that's what she was doing. But he's, a little farmer from the Two Rivers, and he was promised to Egwene, and he's not used to women being this way out in the wider world of Robert Jordan's making. So I feel really bad for Rand, and I wish he could realize that he's being manipulated, but I'm sure things will come to a head soon. We also learned that Padan Fain has some way to still track Rand, which is pretty dangerous since now he has the horn as well. Chapter 20 is Sidene, and we are traveling with Rand, Loyal, Huron, and Selene with the horn. So we now have the horn, and Selene is absolutely obsessed with this horn, and she keeps telling Loyal to let her see it. She wants to hold it, she wants to look at it, and finally Rand tells Loyal no when Selene asks Loyal to let her see it, and Rand just comes out and says no, and she gets a little petulant, and she says, I want to see the horn. And I don't know, the way it comes off, and this could be the audio because I'm listening to audio as I'm reading it, so it could be the way the audio made her sound, but to me it made her sound extremely immature, so immature, and Rand thinks she sounds so much older. I don't know, I was really confused because in the book Rand says that he feels like it makes her sound older, but to me it made her sound more like a child. So this is a chapter where I know I've already said that I don't like Selene. I just don't like her, and now it's even more prevalent. I hate her even more now. So I don't know, everything she says makes me angry. I like nothing about her. She is sketchy, and I'm done with her. I'm over it. I want to be away from her. When we get there, there's some kind of like crystal that sings to Rand in Sidene, and that was pretty interesting, but of course we don't have a whole lot of explanation on that right now, so I just wanted to kind of make a note of it. But they also go to an inn which is called the Nine Rings, which I'm pretty sure is a nod to Lord of the Rings, and I thought that was really cool. Chapter 21 is the Nine Rings. So they are at the inn, and Rand is playing the flute to pay for his room and board, and for some reason Selene is pretty upset, being petty as always, and she somehow makes one of the servers like drop a lantern and almost catch the entire inn on fire, which I thought was interesting. They meet a guy, I think his name was Caldovan, something like that, and he was in charge of the excavation that is nearby from the crystal that I was talking about. So apparently there's this giant statue that has this crystal, and they're excavating it right now, and they make like allusions, or they make statements that kind of lend you to think that they believe Rand is a noble, which obviously his clothes kind of indicate, but they also say something about him being part of the Great Game, which I think we learn about a little bit more, but it's basically a political game that they play there in Carheen, and I don't know, it's just a lot of political intrigue that this city seems to play, and there's a lot of underhandedness and backstabbing, just typical political games, and Rand is of course not part of that, but they assume that he is, and I think that's probably going to come into play later. Selene is gone. She leaves a note, and she says something stupid and flirtatious about something about that he's in her thoughts and she knows that she's in his, and it just irks me to no end. Chapter 22 is Watchers, and this time we are with Moiraine and Lan. It's been a while since we've been with them in this book, so it's pretty exciting. We learn a little bit about their past together and how they became bonded to each other, and I really like this insight into their relationship. And you know, it is more of a platonic bond, but there is a very strong bond there with them, and Moiraine even kind of admits that she's a little jealous of Nynaeve, and I think that's really telling and admirable of Moiraine to be able to admit that, but know that nothing is really going to happen more than that. So I kind of admire that in her, that she has the strength to say something like that. It wasn't expected. I kind of felt like that was just going to be something that we as readers knew, but that she wasn't going to acknowledge. So Moiraine tells Lan that if Moiraine dies, his bond is going to be transferred to Morel until Morel can find a better fit for his bond. And so my first thought is maybe he could be bonded to Nynaeve. I'm not really sure how that is supposed to work. I don't know if warders can be bonded to Aes Sedai that they're in love with, or it has to be like a platonic relationship. I'm not really sure if there are rules like that. So but that was my first thought, is maybe he could be bonded to Nynaeve if Moiraine dies. I don't know if she'll die in these series, but I think it's a little bit, I don't want to say foreshadowing, because I don't know if it is or not, but if we're talking about Moiraine dying in the second book out of a 14-book series, she may die soon-ish. I don't think she'll die extremely soon, but soon enough. I don't know if she'll make it to the end with her talking like this. So we're with a couple of other Aes Sedai, and one of them named Vandene talks about how once the Dragon Reborn fights the Dark One, that all of the Aes Sedai are going to have to overwhelm him to keep him from destroying the world. And so that really worries me about Rand, because we know that Rand is he's the Chosen One now, he's the Dragon Reborn. So I'm really worried about how that's going to play in the end, and if that is going to be Rand's fate. So while Moiraine is outside by herself, she is attacked by a Drakkar, which we haven't seen since the first book, and it has this crooning that draws someone to it, and then they can eat their soul. It's pretty crazy, and I actually kind of like the sound of it. It's pretty cool, even if it is very, very morbid, but I like the sound of them. However, it was warded, so that's why she couldn't tell that it was there, and they know that only Aes Sedai can ward a Drakkar like that, so they suspect a Black Aja. And of course, Lan and Jaime, I believe is how you pronounce it, come to her rescue. So Moiraine is safe, but they also can't stay there because she's bringing danger to Vendine and her home. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been watching and commenting. It means so much to me. I'm very behind on my comments, and normally I try to answer everybody, but this past month has been chaotic. So I am going to still try to catch up and respond to all the comments, but I truly appreciate it, and I'm reading every single one of them. And some of the comments are so helpful and very touching, so I definitely appreciate it. It is very wonderful to have that, and I'm glad to be going through this journey with you all. So y'all take care. Bye.